Evasion fatigue, which is easy to credit to simpletons, when actually it's very studied. Can keep somebody very quiet. You've heard the expression, the bullet or the ballot or the bullet. And the First Amendment went before the Second. And the right to freedom of expression comes before the right to bear arms. We know when it comes to the Kennedy assassination that the bullet got the better of the ballot. John Lennon had a jingo, if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you aren't going to make it with anyone. Scott Ritter said something similar. I'm not sure what it was about. Because the effect of, if you take a political stand that's too offbeat, you're not going to get voted into office. The issue is not getting voted into office. It's the survival of the dignity and the accordance of distinguishment to an informed minority opinion, the right to dissent. The murderers are all over the idea that dissent has the right to exist. The poachers, the assassins, the attackers, the genocidalists are led by Paul McCartney. He wants books burned, children tortured, disabled people raped, churches bombed, and he's doing this in the name of Pennsylvania Christianity. Godfather politics. None of that much is easily proven. It's easy to verify. They've tortured, they've poisoned me, they lied to and about me. Reagan's and the Fripps working together with homicidal sadists who put me through a horrifying Manson ordeal. Funded by Ringo Starr, claimed to be Christians. I want to make very clear that one of them is claiming he was Catholic worker. These Catholic workers were all being funded by Donald Trump. Vince Irene's patron saint is not Pope Francis. It's Martin Sheen, who made films with Sissy Spacek where he burned down houses. Martin Sheen is a psychopath, but he's favored in Hollywood. They put the pinch on the Burstyn letters because they knew they were there. There was a Fox studio agent married into the house for the discovery rights of Alucard, which is Dracula backwards, Lucarelli. And of course, the poachers themselves, who say victims of slaughter and brutality aren't special, while singing hymns to the oneness of man, can hardly hide the dictatorial proclivities in the city of Pittsburgh. You may not question them. I was driven out of town for trying to stop John Schulman. Eventually, they had to admit he was stealing everything he could get his hands on at the museum. I tried to put a stop to him, and they drove me out. And they followed me with intent to kill. They have poisoned me, tortured me, targeted my loved ones, and lied about all of it. Those Reagans, those Fripps, think they're pretty high and mighty. And if you take a position against them, you ain't going to make it with anyone. Well, evasion fatigue can get to you in the Kennedy assassination too. The simple questions still aren't being asked. For example, this is how many years has it been? Some 60 years since Kennedy died. And the morning after, in 1963, while I was watching that Death Valley Days barren images from the Dust Bowl of Dallas in midsummer. It was November, not midsummer, but it was hot. And it was like a dusty, to me, it would look like someplace that was in summer. Dusty, barren, bereft, meaningless. Somebody could have gotten on the TV. Dan Rather started his career by lying about what he saw in the Zapruder film, telling the exact opposite, what people would rather believe. Could have said, shall we follow the chain of evidence? What a miracle that would have been, to follow the chain of evidence, like following the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick, follow the yellow brick, follow the yellow brick road. Dun, 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 dun. Follow the chain of evidence. Boy, that's a hard one. How many cops they have? Veterans. They were veterans. They were. These weren't people you had to ask, are you veterans? Henry Wade was a Pacific Navy veteran. Sheriff of Dallas, yep, he was a veteran. They had all heard of the chain of evidence. Follow the chain of evidence. Follow the chain of evidence. Follow the chain of evidence. Who had the rifle? Oh, they said Klein's magic store, Klein's rifle store had a receipt giving it to Oswald. Oh, so it was Oswald's rifle. Who had the rifle, I asked you, not who bought the rifle. Who had the rifle? We don't ask that kind of questions, boy. No, son. No, son. Who had the rifle? Follow the chain of evidence. Who had the rifle? Michael Payne had it in his garage 24/7. Oswald went there once a week on Sunday to visit his wife, who was boarding there, not his rifle. Michael Payne had the rifle. His cousin sat on the board of directors of the United Fruit Corporation with Allen Dulles, a friend of Ian Fleming, and a friend of Adolf Hitler. He met in 1933 for the Schroeder Bank to forgive Hitler's campaign debts. There were 4 mystical affiliates of Adolf Hitler in that crowd in Dealey Plaza. 2 of them served on the Warren Commission. John McCloy sat in Hitler's booth at the Munich Olympics. General Walker was associated with Oswald Mosley, the director of the British Union of Brown Shirts, and Melvin Belly, who gratuitously appeared, he beamed down from Star Trek where he was a guest star, friend of George Takei, I take it, and John Wayne, to represent Jack Ruby, who had the same psychiatrist as Charlie Manson, which we will get to because of the Mancine letters planted on me in Pittsburgh, was also the lawyer for Herman Goring. Follow the evidence. Who found the letters to give them to Martin Sheen? Or did you say he already knew they were there? And Sissy Spacek was there to say, that Prettyman, we're never going to forgive him. How did they just happen to poach them and already know what they contained and be all ready with Hitler Reagan to get revenge for implying that it was mysterious? Can you explain why such a possibility would be automatically overlooked when you're dealing with John Schulman and his brothers? Why would it automatically be overlooked? Evasion fatigue can really get to somebody after a while because it seems so moronic, it seems so simpleton. But we are, after all, not dealing with morons. We're dealing with Hollywood, media controlled by the Gestapo, and Voltrons